worker is in a deep slumber. It's a dock worker's ID, doubling as a shift card and a job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you from the photo. Santiago S. John. Your fingers find their way into the shackle, flicking open its spring-loaded gate. The metal loop holds the plastic ID and a leather-bound pocketbook. The man emits a loud snore. Is he about to wake up? Doesn't look like it, but you never know. Better be quick. No, he's looking the other way, perhaps purposefully. You slip the plastic ID card out of the loop and pocket it. The man continues to snore. Just for the record, you look nothing like the man on the document. You find a black paper note with a woman's profile on it. Seems like this woman lived centuries ago. The note says, 5 real. It feels nice and greasy. Yum yum, money. Think of all the things you can buy with this. The synapses in your brain fire with glee. The sleeping dock worker has little to say about your actions. He remains silent.
Last we saw, your race was being superseded by the Seminese. It is my task to keep the degenerate drunks from entering the arbor. Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Simonine Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
There may be a peaceful solution to this. You could internalize Meshahed's race theory. He would take you as one of his own. Well, yes. Why? Don't you want to be a Seminese supremacist? So what if you're not Seminese? You can be anything. The man looks at you, silent and unmoving. His eyes burrow into the remnants of your soul.
You are not Santiago. Santiago is not you. Even the phrenically impaired can see this.
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic cup.
He had nothing to do with it.
Racists are generally not very good examples of their race.
Welcome to Revachol. You hear him yell at a redhead woman visiting the fritter nearby. He must think redheads are immigrants.
I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull and features. This should dispel any doubt.
The drawings are precise and look true to their pseudo-scientific ambitions. One thing, however, it is not entirely free of throwbacks in the phylogenetic tree. His large jaw, for example, could be a trait indicative of criminalism. Also, his earlobes could be small.
That atavistic stigmata makes pussy say yes, plenty.
Babe, thanks. But I got this. Racists are generally...
Welcome to Revachol. He must think red.
I am not...
The drawings are precise and look true to their pseudo-scientific ambitions. One thing, however, it is not entirely free of throwbacks in the phylogenetic tree. His large jaw, for example, could be a trait indicative of criminalism. Also, his earlobes could be small.
The size of the earlobes is not a real craniometric criteria.
Your earlobes are flawless, Jean-Luc.
Yes. You exhibit forward projection of the jaw, indicative of schizophrenia and sexual inaccountability. From a purely aesthetic standpoint, the dimple in your jaw makes you look like a baby. It is impossible to see any more of your bone structure. It is covered in the ravages of Al-Ghul. From what remain of your features, I can see fleshy lips, baldness of the head, and long arms relative to lower limbs. This leads me to conclude you are not a police officer. You are a common criminal, an offspring of murderers and sailors from Sur-la-Clé and Vesper, and possibly even the degenerate sheep herders of Ubi. Your racial heritage is uninteresting. It is the same as all Revacholians. Your parents and their parents made the decision to reproduce while under the influence of Al-Ghul. That is the only reason you are here. Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that. Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront polycultural capital, something your race, naivistic communists, never did. Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic. Jam, individualism. You have gotten these ideas from degenerate youth culture, have you not? You have picked them up from rock and roll songs? Offshoots of the Seminoles people invented disco while having sex under the influence of cocaine. It is a shame upon my race. But what is done is done. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminoles race. The South Island race, haplogroup A4A. We are the rightful masters of the Insulindian archipelago. We descend from the Areopagites of ancient Pericarnassus and arrived here 4,000 years ago. We are the future. That is all you need to know. I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulembuir are with me in my genetic dreams. I see young Seminoles women walk into the grey mass on Ile de Fantôme, waiting on immaculate conception from the pale. No. I have heard about it on the radio. I'm from Couronne, and no, it is not just in Revachol. The city is central to the Seminoles strategy. Spreading through its trade networks, our culture will dominate the world. You have heard enough about our phylogenetic secrets for today. You have extinction to come to terms with, and never getting into the harbor.
I think this racist is better than the last, but the next racist will be the really good one.
That will be the...
He will grant us 3 wishes.
Your pedomorphic friend has quick wits, a protruding occiput, and an indented zygomatic bone.
The lieutenant does not flinch.
You should keep him close. The congenital defect of farsightedness does not render him a complete invalid. He still has the use of his mind.
Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
obviously a liberal Zeolite, a polyculturalist. I can see it from your love of microtechnology and your sartorial choices. Do not deny your friend the truth you have denied yourself. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Those are the Simonese, the Areopagites, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades in Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. You know them by the names of their nation states. The Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them Maun.
Maun is a derogative term for first world people of Gotwaldian descent. They do not all have eczema. Also, people of Katla, like the Suru and the Huhu, are much more lactose intolerant. In some municipalities of Oranje, people do wear shoes made of wood to street parades. Green, orange, and even yellow tassels have also been seen on hats.
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
Colorful tassels are, let's be honest, not a good sartorial choice for this century. You might want to avoid wooden clogs too.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, all have type A race propensities. The other large Mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum. As proven by the Maun and the Mesk, Occidental type A is in retrograde. The Simonese and the Areopagites are on the ascent. The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago, the Simonese inhabit the southern islands. I am Simonese, from the stock of Ulumbrir on Ile de Fantôme. The Areopagites are the master race of the Ile Maran deserts. The Simonese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ile Marat to Ansuland, thousands of years before the lactose-intolerant Maun Occidentals discovered this place.
Wait, didn't Ilmaran desert pygmies invent alcohol and get pillaged just a short while ago?
No, those were scimitar-wielding race losers of Zahrafa, Izzet, and Bashir, with their Himmi servants. Big difference. The Areopagites were fasting and conquering while this happened. You never penetrated the western dunes.
Jean, baby, you're on fire.
I know, bae. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Simonese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericarnassus. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls. The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite or Simeopagite super race. That is all. There are no more type A races in the world. Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race. The Koikos and the Vacholier, they are mud-colored people.
The Koikos of Grad, Yugo, Zhimsk, Shest et al. Are what you would call white, officer, in a suspect description.
Yes, to an untrained eye, the Koiko appear white and pinkish, like a handsome witch. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an indistinct color, and so is their skin. Unhealthy, muddy, and ashen. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination that the Grad people have undergone for drinking Al-Rul and smoking the degenerate tobacco herb, and for eating potato. The Koiko, the countless micronationalities of Grad, are all inexplicably obsessed with potat. The only thing they like more is dividing into microscopic ethnostates, like political amoeba.
Wouldn't he be one for ethnostates?
They are microscopic. The Semeno-Areopagite superstate will cover the entire remaining planetary crust, uninterrupted. From Holy Semenine to the Boreal Plateau of Katla. Its leaders will be the genetic epitome of the Simonese and Areopagite stock, elected by nature, not the base inner spoilage called demos. The Vacholians, halfway between type A and the racial cauldron. Two makes to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000-year history on this planet.
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
The mysteries of the people of this planet are a tragedy that has played out countless times over, like a fever dream of skin, hair, and bone. Wake up, naive chess-piece. The revolution came to Ravachol from Grad, in Zarath written potato carts. It is literally an illness, a prion disease that leaves the parietal and frontal lobe ridden with holes. A soft, sponge-like mass of dementia, hallucination, and paranoia. The revolution is fatal familial insomnia, a hereditary prion condition passed from the Koiko to the Occidentals. But not sexually. Probably through trade roots and potate acid, the prime component of the potato plant. Enough of type mediocrity. Types CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me. Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Seminese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Seminese. The other way around, they fail to produce offspring. The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
You are right. You have misunderstood. You lack basic phylogenetic education. Then there is the Semino-Koiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Semino-Koiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site. The Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Seminese with the Koiko to produce a super worker of Seminese strength and Grad servility. This will never happen. The Seminese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Seminese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koiko woman or Koika. But enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of type CF. Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on? You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way, without becoming a race theoretician.
Lost, though, buckled away at the last gate. This is why your haplogroup will never rise from the ashes. Now, I need to luxuriate in the private company of my babe. Leave me. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vacholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease? There is nothing funky about Tips. The F are a museum of failed chimeric experiments. Lesser race, the mosquito is born.
It seems unlikely that two.
Yes, it is clear. I cannot possibly imagine